Welcome to Fear No Evil, where the evil I speak about is child sexual abuse, where Psalms 23 is the dominant scripture, and the Lord is my shepherd always. I begin this segment with John 8:32 that says, "Then you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Any child sexual abuse survivor needs one thing in their life, and that one thing is freedom. And that is why I speak out against child sexual abuse, and I also speak out against the false science of the LGBT activists concerning homosexuality. Because there are children who are being abused today. There are babies, toddlers, elementary children, and teenagers. And right now in the school, they're being taught of the LGBT lifestyle as an alternative lifestyle. However, at the same time, they silence those sexual abuse survivors who may think that their own sexual abuse history had a hand in them being attracted to their own same sex as they got older. And until there is a study that pinpoints a homosexual gene, all options are on the table. And since we still live in America, we have a Constitution, we have a First Amendment, it gives us freedom of speech. And it is not hate speech to speak out on behalf of all the children who are being sexually abused in this country today, who may feel later on in life that their own sexual abuse history is related to the same sex attractions that they have later on in life. Nobody has a right to silence that message, and nobody has a right to cut off that option to sexual abuse survivors, because what we need most is freedom, and how we obtain that freedom is by our own choosing and our own choice. And as many survivors as there are that many paths to healing from the manifestations of child sexual abuse. I'm not talking Christianity, I'm not talking the Bible right now. I will probably eventually get to that because I am a Christian and I do believe that God has healed me. But when I say that God has healed me, that doesn't mean that I didn't have to go through the healing process. It doesn't mean that I don't get triggered. It doesn't mean that the past doesn't come back up. It doesn't mean any of that. What it means is that He was able to heal me from the manifestations so that I was no longer chained to those manifestations, and they guided my life from the time of being abused all the way into death. I am one of the blessed ones. I did get healed from child sexual abuse. I still have my problems. I still have the things that I have to go through like any other childhood sexual abuse survivor. But one thing I have to say about the journey is that it keeps on moving. I don't get stuck. I don't get stopped in a cycle. And I also accept the journey to healing, whatever that may bring. And those people who are homosexuals, who do feel that their own abuse contributed to their own same-sex feelings as they got older, whether they be male or female, because when I say homosexual, I mean a man or a woman, a gay person or a lesbian person, or even a bisexual person. I'm even going to go to a transgender. Because the fact that we don't talk about the child sexual abuse in our backgrounds is a huge injustice to society. Because there are more people abusing children in this country than people even want to admit. And even when information comes across to me about certain people sexually abusing children, I do not want to agree with it or believe it. But the truth will set me free. The truth has set me free for a very long time. And I refuse to believe anything but the truth when it comes to childhood sexual abuse. Not only because I'm a survivor, but also because I am an educated survivor. And also because I'm a spiritual survivor. I thank the Lord that He has well-grounded me to be able to understand not only what was going on in my life, because counselors didn't help, they made it worse. And they make it worse for a lot of survivors. And they give a lot of survivors false information because they themselves are unable to grasp and understand the enormity of what is called child sexual abuse. And I'm going to begin to go through some of the research that's out there. But the one that's really caught my attention was the one that was written by Carla Clark, because she wants to insist that because you're LGBT, that is why you get sexually abused as a child. I can't think of anything more damaging and more ludicrous. And she's a PhD. She's got a PhD behind her name. But I'm supposed to believe her. I'm supposed to believe her. It's not true. As I said in my last video, any child can become a victim of childhood sexual abuse. And it is not okay to be educating people that because, or a child who's maybe 4 or 5 who doesn't even know whether they are gay or straight or bi or whatever you want to say today. If they're being sexually abused, their own mind and their own body is putting it back and putting those defenses forward so that child can go on. And to bring an issue into this to confuse those children, I don't understand how the LGBT activists who are sexually abused children think this is okay. And because they are never called out to the task, I am calling them out to the task. Because if you are a child sexual abuse survivor and you are healed, the first thing you should be trying to do is to reach out to other survivors. Bring out forth your knowledge, your experience, your education, your spirituality, showing other survivors how to get through it. Because as far as I'm concerned, society has failed. The psychological community has failed. The church has failed. My God hasn't failed, but these institutions in society, they have all failed. And we have a lot of hurting people who have gone through child sexual abuse who still cannot speak out because they are silenced by these same institutions that say they are the advocates for it. The lie and the deception, it needs to end.